Hi, air signs. This is your Gemini full moon card reading. So I'm doing this one a little bit differently. Obviously, it's a video, not an Instagram post. Also, I'm doing a kind of general card reading, the kind of card reading that I would do for a client, along with a card from the Wild Offering Oracle deck. So I have here my giant amethyst that I always like to show off because she's so pretty. And I know air signs like amethyst because it's associated with the crown chakra. So I'm probably gonna do more weird things in this video. So sorry, not sorry. So the deck that I am using for your card reading is the Osho Zen Tarot, which I super love. It's definitely my go-to deck when I'm reading for other people. And then the Wild Offering Oracle that I've used before. I think I've used both these before for some of the card readings that I've done for you guys. So here we go. As I mentioned, there's going to be 5 cards. If you would like a photo of the cards, please DM me and let me know. And I will send you a photo of those cards. So the issue that you're dealing with during this Gemini full moon. So when we think about Gemini, Gemini is all about communication, connection, fun, interaction, 2 different sides. Is what most people know Geminis for, but they're really like fun-loving, conversational, intelligent, very like mind-oriented. So the card that is the issue, excuse me, for you during this full moon cycle is suppression. So as you can see in this card, this person's really struggling with something. They're kind of being forced in on all sides. Like they're really, they've got like, essentially they've got like the world on their shoulders. Everything is like caving in on them. They've all these like, oh, sorry about the lighting. They've got all these ropes that they're tangled up in. And this could be a situation that maybe you have gotten yourself into. Maybe you haven't made the best decisions, or it could just be something that's happening. But either way, this is happening for a lesson for you. So with the suppression card, we can see there's a lot of red and orange in here. And so red is typically associated with the root chakra. So this might be an issue with like safety. This might be an issue with family, people that you have really close, intimate relationships with. And like with this person, you can almost see how like they are becoming the ropes. So like all this stuff that they're entangled in, this is like they've become their problems. And so the only way out of this is to disentangle themselves. So how do you do that? Being that this is full moon in Gemini, full moon is about releasing things. Gemini being about communication, being about the mind. So to me, like it feels like talking to someone that you trust, like talking to a therapist, talking to a priest, talking to someone that you really trust, like family member, friend, but really being able to communicate and almost like verbally disentangle all of this like stress and trauma and like stuff that you're dealing with, not necessarily talking to the person that you're having the issues with though. It feels more like seeking wise counsel from someone that you trust that has your best interest at heart, because I don't know what kind of like conflict you're in, but now is not the time to go to that person to talk about it. Like now is the time for you to really kind of get some clarity, like disentangle things, and kind of make some space between you and that problem, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. And this doesn't necessarily have to be a problem with someone else. It could be kind of like an inner conflict, almost the way that we wrestle with like a really bad habit, you know, that like maybe let's say you're a smoker, and like a lot of people that have smoked for a long time, their identity is tied up in being a smoker. Like they're used to taking smoking breaks, they have their smoking friends, they might not be around a lot of other people that don't smoke cigarettes, because there's kind of like that shame and stigma. So it, like, having that bad habit or having that issue that you're tangled up in really be really that it's become part of like who you are, like how this rope, how this person's like limb is turning into a rope. You might really want to talk to somebody about how to disentangle this habit or this struggle from the identity of who you are. So I hope that makes sense. So this is the issue. So all the other cards that we talk about in this reading are going to revolve around this card of suppression. And a lot of times when we think about suppression, it's like this conscious act of suppressing something. But in this instance, it's really that this person, you are being suppressed by something. So you're being suppressed by an internal conflict. You're being suppressed by some kind of like external conflict, some kind of drama. But you're really being bogged down by whatever this thing is that you're wrestling with. So that is the issue, suppression. The influence that you're not aware of, like the unseen influence, sometimes it's an internal influence, is the compromise card. And so I think a lot of people think about compromise in terms of like relationship, like making a conscious effort to get to this like win-win place. But the thing with this card, like when you look at these two people, they're kind of like mirror images of each other. And so the card is not saying that you should compromise. The card is saying that you really need to be on guard for, this is gonna sound shitty, whoever you have this conflict with, you need to be on guard about them being like really, really nice, about them coming to you and saying, hey, like I really want to work this out, because the energy, like if you look at the energy of these two people, like there's no smiles, there's kind of this like weird grimacing look. You can't really see it, but their eyes are like they're both looking the opposite way. So their body language is facing in, but their focus is outward. So it looks like they're postured towards each other. It looks like they're turning towards each other, but their focus is actually somewhere else, which is away from that other person. So that's what I mean by like, if someone that you're having like a conflict with comes to you and they're like, yeah, I want to work it out and everything, like, you know, I'm really concerned. I want to make sure you're okay. And this is out of character for them. Like this card is letting you know, like, hey, this is the unseen influence. Like this is something that you're not aware of, that this person has ulterior motives, and just be careful. That doesn't mean that like you don't have to be on the defensive when they come to you, or even if this suppression is a bad habit for you and someone comes to you and is like, hey, I know you're trying to get over this habit or you're trying to stop doing this and I want to help, and you get that gut feeling that like, this doesn't feel right, trust your gut. But like, even if you're open to engaging in that conversation with them, like nothing bad is going to happen. Really, I think the worst thing that's going to happen is you have this conflict with someone, you are like, sure, I'm open to compromise, and you go in with like an open heart and they act the same way that you've always seen them act. Like, it's not anything new. Like, you won't be caught off guard that this person was shitty to you. It's like, oh, surprise, surprise, you're the same person that you've been this whole time. Great. So that's the unseen influence that you are not aware of. So the next card is the external influence that you are aware of. And so, yeah. Sorry, I was looking at the cards. I'm like, oh, there's like a couple of the same suit. Or of the same type. So the external influence that you are aware of regarding this conflict, this issue that you are kind of being suppressed by, is the maturity card. So when we look at this card, it's got this circle, you know, this like snake eating its own tail, but also it's this full spectrum of the rainbow. It's all the colors, you know, it's actually like it's a woman and she's got all these bloomed flowers like tattooed all over her. But when we look in the background, like the sky is very, it's very, very dark. And inside here, it's very light. It's very lightened up and lightened. So the thing that you are aware of with this conflict, with this habit that you're trying to get out from under, is that you're closing that cycle. Like you're just like the way that like a flower or a plant matures, then it starts to like bear fruit. You're coming to the close of a cycle. So you're very much aware that like this conflict is coming to an end, that this habit, like you're going to be getting out from under this habit. And so this is just a really good card, you know, to come for full circle with something and be able to kind of let go of it. So the thing that you need to understand to get to the resolution is that you are in a time of healing. And so there's a lot of blue in this card. Blue is associated with like the throat chakra, with the third eye. And as you can see, like with this hand, you know, there's a thumb over the throat. The throat chakra also rules the ears. And then right up here, the third eye. So like I mentioned before, like this conflict that you're having, even this bad habit that you're trying to get out from under, using communication, using that throat chakra to disentangle all of this stuff. And so there's going to be a lot of healing that comes from this. I know that this can be super heavy. And if you are struggling with something that carries a lot of shame and you don't want to talk to anyone about it, there's still a lot of power in verbal communication, even if you're by yourself, which sounds maybe kind of weird if you're not used to doing that. So one of the things that I started doing probably in October is that like when I feel like really big emotions coming up, and I know that like I'm a crier, so that's just how I release things. And I know that like a cry needs to happen. And my normal instinct, my normal way of being has been to suppress it, to push it down. And so I'm trying not to do that because it's not healthy. And then I just carry this around and it doesn't come to a resolution. And sometimes it's not big things that need to come to a resolution. Sometimes it's like it just needs to come out. So for me, being able to express my emotions and express what is happening to me is very much a part of like me reparenting myself. It's a part of me taking care of my inner child. And so what I will do is I will get that feeling and I will come in here into my cloffice. This is my closet office. And I will just talk about whatever I'm feeling. I feel scared because I don't know how to do this. I'm worried because how much it's going to cost, or like whatever it is that's happening. Like I had a problem with my heater in November, and I'm a new homeowner. So it was very overwhelming for me because I don't know how like a heater works. I don't know how much it's going to cost. I don't know when it's going to get fixed and there's a cold front and what do I do? So letting myself kind of express those emotions. And so I'm essentially sitting in here talking to myself and crying. And it doesn't last very long and I feel much better after it happens. So if you feel like there is something that you're dealing with that you have so much shame about, you can talk to yourself about it. If it's something that you don't trust anyone else with, you can talk to yourself about it. And even like what I'm feeling is like driving and just having, you know how sometimes like you're driving, you're on autopilot, you know where you're going, go to the same job every day for a couple of years, or you live in the same neighborhood for a while, and you're just on autopilot and your brain kind of goes to whatever it wants to think about instead of like kind of ruminating in that. If you were able to develop that awareness that that's what's coming up and just kind of talking about it and just like letting yourself speak those thoughts that you're having when you're by yourself in the car, and really getting them out, because a lot of the problem with suppression is that things don't get to come up and out. So as you can see, this person's closed in on all sides, like even the sky, the clouds are coming down on them. So if there's a way that you can express things and like not jab yourself in the chin, if there's a way that you can express things to get them up and out, that's really, really going to be pivotal to this healing process. For me, this card usually signifies Reiki too. So if there's any kind of like laying of hands, like energy healing, if you have a person, if you have a friend that does distance Reiki, if you just want to try it, there's a ton of YouTube videos about Reiki. There's a lot of self-Reiki meditations on Insight Timer. It's an app if you are into meditation, but you can do self-Reiki. So if you don't have the financial means to have someone do it for you, if you think it's kind of weird, you're not really sure, and you want to check it out on YouTube, you can do that. But for me, this card a lot of times just signifies like Reiki and laying of hands and energy healing. So this is what you need to get to the resolution. And the resolution is patience, which I know a lot of people struggle with patience, and I'm so sorry. I struggle with patience too. Like this one is so hard for me because I'm like, patience. You can see it's card number 7. 7 is in numerology is the number of God, spiritual number. It's connection to a higher power. There's a lot of talk about patience in like the Christian religion and Buddhism, like lots of different religions talk about having patience. And so when we look at this card, a big part of patience is tied into time. So when we look at this card, there's like the phases of the moon, and also she's holding her belly. You know, she's very much with child. And if you know anybody that's ever had a baby, if you've had a baby, babies come whenever they come. Like sometimes they're early, sometimes they're late. Sometimes they decide that they want to come out and then they're like, just kidding, I'm not ready. Like you can just be in labor for like 12 hours. So just like the phases of the moon, like it takes time to move. Maybe it's this way, whatever. It takes time to move from one phase to another. So you are very much completing something. You're moving into a new phase. But being that you guys are air signs, quick. You guys want to do everything fast. And it doesn't work like this. And so this thing that you're coming through is for the purpose of you learning patience, is for the purpose of you trusting in the divine timing that is bringing you to the completion that you already know is coming. So it's not that you have to actively be patient. Like you don't have to do anything. This is your resolution. This is the thing that all this stuff is happening for. So it's not that like you're not calling in a lesson to learn patience. Like you're in the middle of this already, and now you're being shown like this is why this is happening, so that you can come to an understanding of patience, a trust in time, a faith in your higher power. So that is your full moon reading. The wild offering card that I pulled for you guys is the hardship card. So it says, may I embrace what's happening right now as baffling or painful as it is, help me, God, to trust where you are guiding me. I am yours. So this is that hardship card. It's very, very pretty. And so the times that things get really, really tricky and you're like, why the fuck is this happening? Just know that you're being guided by your higher power. You're being helped, you're being held, and that sometimes we can get the deepest learning and the deepest healing by just sitting in it, which sucks. I know. I totally know. But sometimes that's all we can do, is just sit with it until it's ready to come out. So yeah. So air signs, that is your Gemini full moon reading. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you thought. Like, feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know if this resonated for you. Let me know if it didn't make sense. Let me know if it was weird. Let me know if it was too long. Whatever you think. If you guys enjoy these videos, I will continue to do them. So I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.